Imagine if your life was a picture book or a photo album of a series of pictures of highs and lows. Some are fuzzy and some you don't want to spend too much time looking at. Then you find yourself looking at empty pages and realize there are more pictures to come. It's about the purpose. Welcome to another episode of the Purpose Devotionals. I haven't actually made a video in a long time. I want to apologize ahead of time for just any noise that may come about. I just really wanted to come on here and just really just share something. On the news, there was another school shooting in the United States, and 3 children were killed and adults were killed as well. And I was just watching different comments, right? Everyone has something to say, and I think when things like this happen, it's everyone's kind of like, oh my gosh, it's so sad and blah 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 blah. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with that. I guess it's just, you go through the motions, and then somehow people will just perhaps forget, and then we just find, and then something else will happen, and then it moves on to that, and then people will try and connect the two. Anyways, to avoid going into a rabbit hole with this, my main point was basically to talk about mental health. And I wanted to talk about that because in my blog, I must have mentioned that I was talking about, are you okay? And I mentioned the quote of, it's okay to not be okay. And for me, when I would hear that, it would kind of annoy me. And it would annoy me because I would think to myself, it's not okay, because it's when you're not feeling well or you're feeling low, that's almost like your body telling you, it's like crying for help, and your body's telling you things are not right, and we're not supposed to feel this way. That's what your body's kind of telling you, it's not supposed to be like this, you know. And the worst thing, especially in situations like that you could do is seclude yourself, right? Become like a recluse or something like that. That's the worst thing you could do. But most people, when they feel a certain type of way, especially like that, they kind of go into hiding, right? Because throughout just history, we normally would want to have our best foot forward. No one wants to, no, everyone wants to be happy. No one wants to see somebody that's sad, right? But nowadays, I think what's being pushed forward is no, it's okay to be sad. So they're encouraging people to, to at least come out and talk about, basically, if you're not feeling your best, or you're feeling low about something, or you want to talk to someone about something, especially um, workplaces where they will say, we can connect you with a psychiatrist or maybe someone to speak to. And I think all of that is good. I actually think all of that is good. I just think that the idea of wallowing around just, I wouldn't say self-pity, but it could be self-pity, where you're just feeling really low and you think that everyone on, the social media platforms are living their best life. And in reality, it's not the case. What you're only seeing a picture. You're not seeing, what they ate, or you could see what they ate, but you're not seeing what happened after they ate their food. They're just showing you, they're putting their best foot forward. And I think, do you know what? I don't know if they've done a study about this, but I think that if they do a study from when social media started, and just basically how mental health has really changed and how people are becoming more affected, I think there'll be a correlation. And it's not saying that social media is a bad thing. I'm not saying that social media is a bad thing. It's just that you need to really be cognizant of basically what you're showing yourself when you're going on social media, when you're sharing your pictures, when you're connecting with different people. And because it plays a part in your daily lifestyle, because If you go on social media every day, then that means it influences you. You may not know it does, but social media influences you. And it could be good or bad, right? Like it could be in a good way where you're like, oh wow, I like this girl's outfit. Oh my gosh, I want to find where she got that. Or it could be a thing of like, oh look, everyone's living their best life and I'm just here by myself, alone. Like, why don't I have all these friends that this one has? Why don't I have this group of people around me? Or why am I not famous? You know? And that can start conjuring up just random questions that you wouldn't have asked yourself had you not had like opened it and scrolled and seen all these like lovely pictures from other people that are claiming that they are so happy and that they are living their best life. So again, I'm not saying that social media is a bad thing. If anything, I think that social media should be something that is used responsibly, um, where you just time it right. Like I was speaking to someone last week, and they were saying to me, you know what? When I feel low, I am not opening social media. Like I'm not doing it because I know that if I feel low and then I go and look at other people's perfect lifestyle, it's not really going to help, is it? So it's things like that, just being very cognizant of it. Um, Another thing that I really wanted to kind of share and encourage is that everyone goes through these ups and downs, right? Because different factors play a part. So your ups could be, hey, you got a new job, or you got a raise or something, and then your downs could be like, oh, you weren't offered a job. Do you know? But the way you kind of stay consistent is just how you manage these individual situations. If you're burying things and you're like as if you have no emotion, that doesn't help, because naturally you need to have like an outlet. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to like uh find whoever you can talk to and just speak. You can if you trust that person, I would say. But if you don't have that person, I really would encourage, like, you can even perhaps even, hey, encourage yourself, speak to yourself, pray even, like, you have that authority to just encourage yourself. But if you are allowing yourself to think certain things that are causing you to kind of go deeper in this little hole that you are going to find hard to climb out of, that's not going to help your situation. And I think that when you go into things that when you go into things that kind of won't help you, you need to really ponder in your mind and say to yourself, will this help me? Is this going to help my situation? Because if it isn't, then there's no point me doing it. You need to really just take control in that sense, right? Now, I didn't come here to just kind of like tick boxes and say like, oh, when you're feeling low, do this. When you're feeling this, do that. These are options. These are options that you could try. Because I know that personally with me, is that when I would find myself thinking certain things and then I feel all of a sudden low, it's like I start tracing what made me feel this way. Like trace that thing. And it could be maybe you're thinking about like a loved one or loss of a loved one, or you're missing someone. At least you have traced that so you can identify like, this is what's making me feel low. So it's almost like you're pulling it out of the, I don't know, like the picture book in your mind and saying, okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to rectify it. And rectifying it is having just a different outlook to it. So it could be like, no, this person's in a better place, or it could be like, you know what, I'm doing well, or just anything like that that can just rectify that low feeling. Because that low feeling, it's not really telling you anything about like hope. It's not telling you that you're going to come out of it. It's basically telling you like, you thought of this, now you feel low. There you go. You need to kind of climb out of just, yeah. I do apologize for the noise. so you can hear lots of noise. If you can, I apologize ahead of time. But yeah, that's what I wanted to share ultimately. And I wanted to kind of say to you that like, you're not alone. There's always somebody that you can talk to. You know, there's someone that you can speak to, but I would encourage if you to trust. It has to be someone you trust. Don't just kind of throw your pearls out to like anybody that will listen, because some people may not genuinely have that you know, that heart to care and to really cherish the fact that you're just opening up to them, right? And another thing, you know, I don't really want to like, you know, saying that it's okay to not be okay or whatever, but I don't really want to make it that you're like the happy, like this happy clappy person and you don't think about negativeness. No, I don't do negative news. Personally, I don't know how that works. It may work for you, but I think that that's almost like you're bearing things. It's almost like, no, I'm not sad. I'm great. And you're not really dealing with anything. You're just telling your mind, like, oh, just put it at the back of your mind, you know, don't worry, you'll find, like, pat yourself up and carry on, right? Because you'll find yourself in a place where everything may come rushing in and you're like, oh my gosh, I thought I was happy, why am I crying? type of thing, you know? So, yeah, so I want to just really encourage you to really like speak out, to really speak out in the sense of like, you know, find out, why am I feeling this way? Even start journaling, write things down. I know that for me, there's, you know, sometimes when the words are not even coming out and you don't even know how to articulate how you're feeling. Sometimes I know personally I write, and writing just really just, it's like you're pouring your heart and you can say anything you want, you know. So I really want to, yeah, just suggest that as well, because I believe that helps also. And also take each day at a time. If you're one of those people where you're just constantly looking ahead, you're like, where am I going to be in 5 years, 10 years? These are all great things because you're planning. But what you can find yourself doing is when you're looking too far in the future, your today is still here. You know, you could be looking like down in the future, but your today is still here. So really handle your today and acknowledge your today, and yeah, just take each day at a time. I wanted to read the scripture that I think will encourage you also. It's in the book of John chapter 14, and this is Jesus encouraging his disciples. So he says, do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God, trust also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. I am going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. You know the way to the place where I'm going. Just to give context, you know, Jesus was just about to go to the cross, and he was encouraging his disciples and saying, you know what, you may be going through a time that is difficult, but he's saying to not allow yourself to be troubled. So that tells us that sometimes these are things that we allow into our hearts, into our minds, and we have the authority to actually say, no, you know, I'm not going to stay in this moment. Yes, there's ups and downs, but you don't have to stay in this kind of like regular way of thinking, you know. And know that the way you're thinking is basically your trajectory. That's the direction you're going to go. It's like when you're driving and you're looking at something, you start swerving in that direction. So I think as you go by your day to day, just really thinking to yourself, what am I thinking? What is making me feel a certain type of way? And just capture that thought. Really capture that thought and bring yourself back and say, okay, let me take that and let me rethink this and package it in a better way that won't make me feel so discouraged. So yeah, God bless you. Take care.